Okay, we will be live in a second, Jay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Call me back.
Okay, I think we are live. Good evening or good afternoon. Can I get quick sound check that you can hear me and you can see me? And also, can we get quick sound check for Jay Smith if you can see him? And Jay, can you say hi to
Hi,
us?
this is Jay. I'm here in America. Huttoon's in England, so we're about 3,000 miles from each other. I'm going to be speaking about this volume. If you can hear me, just put in the text that you can hear us and see us. Vision's good, they say.
Thank you, Phil.
Sounds good.
Good.
Phil.
I can't believe in somewhere it's 3:30 in the morning and people are watching you, Jay.
Well, I think because of the material we're going to be introducing today, I think a lot of people will want to hear it. This is the first time we've actually introduced something of this nature.
Can I get a quick confirmation from you that you are giving permission to be recorded in this live stream?
Absolutely. Has anybody ever refused permission?
Oh, well, even people who give permission, their videos are being taken down. Like I've got a, I did live stream couple of months back, maybe nearly a year back with Christian Prince. He doesn't have copyright for his videos, but YouTube claimed copyright and took the video down. I had to wait a couple of months to put that video up. And then we had another Muslim debate with their video has been taken down because of the privacy complaining. So
Well,
it does happen.
unreservedly.
How is life with you, Jay?
Very good. We're heading out of here in about a week to go down south. So this has been fun putting together this material, this new material that we're going to introduce today.
Where are you going to South? Why?
We're going down to Florida. I'll be going via Atlanta to do some conference in a conference there, and then I head on down to be with my mother-in-law, my wife's mother, who we love and adore and spend time with every January.
Good. How long are you going to stay there?
Oh, a few weeks. We're going to be what they call snowbirds. I don't know if you know that term, Hatun. These are old people like me who head down to Florida to get away from the cold weather. So they're called snowbirds. But in my case, I love the snow. I love the cold weather. In fact, if you look out our window, you can see that there's snow all over this part of Pennsylvania. We had a big snowstorm last night, and I was out in it, just enjoying it. It's such a beautiful time when the snow first falls, and it's so quiet, and it just covers everything, and it cleans up everything. So we're enjoying the snow. I'm going to enjoy Florida as well. But till next week, we're still here.
Oh, well, God's creation is beautiful in the snow or in the rain, whatever it is. So first of all, thank you very much for being available for me to look at these Islamic coins. Couple of weeks ago, you and Al Fadi was supposed to be, we were joining the live stream. We were talking about the coins and people wanted to know. So this is just to follow up that live stream. And also, sadly, we were supposed to have Al Fadi with us, but he can't join us because his busy schedule. Therefore, we've got only Jay. So
You've only got me, unfortunately. I'm sorry. We were going to use Al Fadi, but he just sent a text saying that he's busy. He's traveling at the moment, and he thought he would be free, but he's not to do so. Yeah, but that's fine.
We did know it was a question mark, but he's not able to join us. But I understood that he passed his brain to Jay, so Jay is gonna share with us everything we need to know.
Well, this is my material, so that's why what we needed Al Fadi for was to look at the Arabic and to make sure that we're getting the Arabic correct. However, for what you're going to see in the next hour or so, or maybe more, for those who are watching, you don't have to know a word of Arabic to see what we're going to show you. This is probably one of the easiest proof texts against the emergence of Islam and that anybody, this is this material that we're going to introduce. It's not going to be like what we've introduced in the past. We've done a lot more research. We've gone through an awful lot more coins. We're now looking at the best material that's out there. We've now looked at quite a few experts, and we have put together some of their material. Some of them are right here. These are their writing, people like Dr. Clive Foss and Michael Markowitz. We have looked at their material, and what they've come up with and what they're telling us is proving to be quite exciting. And you don't really need to know Arabic, though it would be great to have had Al-Fadi with us just to support what we're saying. Nonetheless, for those who are watching, and I don't want to, and I can see by the numbers that we're going to get people from all over the world. For those who are watching, and I hope there are Muslims watching as well, because we're going to be looking at your history. We're going to be asking some damaging questions today about how Islam began, and what we're going to be using are coins. We're going to use coins because, Hatun, am I not correct? Coins are probably the best things concerning the fact that they're made out of metal. So they don't disintegrate, they don't deteriorate.
Yeah, great historical evidence for how things have been processed. So, because our topic is on history of Islam and especially on the coins, can I just gently encourage those of you who are in chat, try to make your comments in this topic so that tonight's session can be useful for everyone. And on that note, can I just get quick confirmation if you can still hear this funny popcorn sound?
I don't. I have it on. I don't hear it, so I don't think it's on this time.
No, but your sound is already off, Jay.
Can anybody just write in the chat whether or not you can hear the popping sound when people write their questions, write their comments?
That sound is already like very stressful. I just don't know how people stay and listen, Jay. Someone sent me a video other day. Seriously.
They like to hear you, Hatun. They like your voice. They like your mind.
Someone sent me a video other day who is complaining about the sound. I just listened it. I couldn't go through it.
Okay, they're saying there's no popcorn sound.
Really?
Yep, we've got it. You've licked it. Sound is good, they're saying.
Thank you, Truth888.
I'm hearing that hissing sound as well. That's just the wind going over Pennsylvania.
Okay. So, sound is okay. Everyone knows about the topic of Islamic history, especially Islamic coins. That means our conversation is around this. Please stick to the topic. If you have question, please put @ in front of DCCI Ministries. Then we can pick that up, hopefully, and then we can respond to that as we go on. Otherwise, I'll just gently encourage you all to try to keep your comments in English. Turkish is fine. I noticed a couple of Turkish, but English will be better for everyone. And please, for you to not get blocked by YouTube because of your comments, try to keep your comments kind and nice, yet express your freedom of speech, because certain comments are deleted by YouTube, not by us, but by YouTube. So with all those notifications, and I got privacy confirmation from Jay, then we will start. So let me just go through with the basics, Jay. So what I'm gonna do is, as we speak, I will be showing you some pictures for you all to visualize, you all to see it and put together what we are talking. It should be very simple.
We're going to be going through a whole sequence of coins, and each one of the coins we're going to date, we're going to show you their significance, and we're going to also unpack for you why is it that these coins tell us a story. In some ways, that's the title of this talk. Coins tell us a story, but the story they're telling us is not the same story that Islam has been telling us, is not the same story that Muslims have been telling us, does not jive with the narrative that all of us have been taught. And every one of us have been taught that Islam is a religion that came from a man named Muhammad, and that he was given a revelation named the Quran between 610 and 632. What we're going to now look at are the coins that exists from that period and later, and you're going to find that that narrative is now in doubt. But let's get into the coins. Let's go look at them. Let's see what they say, and let's follow the trajectory, the evolution of what we now know about this religion, Islam, looking and unpacking the coins themselves.
Yes, just another practical note. Everything we speak here, you get to hear that 20 seconds after we speak. That means also everything I show on the screen, you will get to see that 20 seconds after we show it. Therefore, I guess, Jay, we just need to be intentional to give maybe 20-second break from as we move from one picture to other picture, so that people don't mix the pictures and they don't get confused. Okay?
There you go. Okay.
Okay. So let me put the first picture. We have a coin from Byzantines.
Let's put up the first Byzantine coin. Now, this is to understand what we're talking about here. The Byzantines controlled much of the world at that period, the period that Muhammad lived, the period that the rightly guided caliphs also came to power. So let's look at the dates. The dates we're talking about, Hatun, are Muhammad's introduction of Islam, and you might say the introduction of the caliphate. The caliphate was introduced in 624. Muhammad died in 632.
Yeah.
Abu Bakr then takes over in 632 and lives till 634. From 634 then, he dies peacefully. Umar then takes over and then rules to 644. 644. From 634 to 644,
Yes.
and 640, 644 or 646. I can't remember that.
644, 644 to 656 is the Uthman.
Uthman takes over, and of course, Umar is killed. Uthman takes over, and he rules from 644 to 656. He is killed, and Ali takes over from 656 to 661.
Yeah.
That period from 624, so we're talking about the beginning of the caliphate, up until 661. That's roughly a 40-year period, which includes Muhammad and the four rightly guided caliphs. That includes Muhammad, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali. That 40-year period is the Rashidun period. That is the period of the rightly guided caliphs, which, when you look at it, at that period, there were coins that existed. And the ones that you see on the screen there are the Byzantine coins. And the Byzantines are the great power, the superpower of their day. They were up in the north. They had Damascus and all the way over. They had all of Europe was under their control. To the east was the Sassanids, who were the Persians. The Sasanian Empire, which is the Persian Empire, their religion was Zoroastrianism. The Byzantines' religion was Christianity. Now, why are coins important? Like that coin that you see there. Well, take a look at that coin, and you will see on the left side is the Byzantine caliph himself. Sorry, emperor. That's the emperor himself, Heraclius. Heraclius is the emperor that lived, and I think I have his dates. I'm trying to look for his dates real quickly. His dates, let me just get it here.
Sorry.
His dates are from 610 to 641. So Heraclius is the great Byzantine Empire. He is his coins are already circulated. That one you're looking at is a drachma. You can see he is pictured there in the center. On either side of him are his two sons, and his two sons are Constantine and Constanza. Now, they are the ones that are on either side. But what's important about that picture is look what they have in their hands. They have an orb. And on top of the orb, I don't know if you can make it any bigger than you have it, but on top of the orb...
I can, but I think someone complained that I was closing your face. Nothing personal, Jay.
I think for these coins, you see me as important as you need to see the coins.
Okay.
I have an ugly face. I'd rather you see the coins than my face.
Jay, God made you wonderfully and beautiful. Don't say those things.
No,
and God loves you.
I don't care to see it. And I really want them to see the coin. So when we're going to show you coins, we're going to show you the front side of the coin, and we're going to show you the back side of the coin. So the front side is the one on the left. That's the picture of Heraclius with his two sons. The back side, the what they call the reverse. So you have the obverse, which is the front, and then you have the reverse, which is the back, is a Byzantine cross. And there you see Latin script there. And it's referring to him as Heraclius and the date that it was coined. And these are all the coins. These are the drachmas that continue to be minted for Heraclius and for the Byzantines right up until the 660. In his case, up until 641, because that's when he died. So these are the drachmas. Now, why are coins important? Well, remember, coins announce who is in charge. So coins were first created by the Lydians way back in 600 BC. But they were used for commerce, obviously, but they were much more important than just material that was used to buy goods. They bore the image of the ruler, and that's why when you're looking at that coin, that's Heraclius with his two sons on either side bearing a cross. They announce their religion. That's the other big thing. They announce who they have allegiance to. And the Byzantines were Christian. That's why the cross was there. That's the image of the cross. On the back side, you can see the pedestal with the Byzantine cross. That's a unique cross. It's more ornate than the kind of crosses we use today. And that's why the Byzantines always put a cross on the back of their coins. Now, so the coins are given to announce the ruler. Remember, back then in the 7th century, they didn't have radio, they didn't have television, they didn't have internet like we have today. So they could not have announced who they were whenever they came to power. They needed to use something else. They didn't even have newspapers. So they used coins. Coins were a great way to announce when a new man came to town, when a new government came into being. So that's what Heraclius is doing. He's there, and he's definitely a Christian. Now, here's the problem, and here's the $1,000,000 question that we need to ask about Hatun. While this is all happening, we have Muhammad, who was born in 570, who starts receiving revelations in 610 up until 632. But in 624, he creates his own empire. He starts the caliphate in 624. And he extends his borders in 624 up until he dies in 632, up including what they call the Hijaz today. So if you look, and let's look at the map. If you could put the map up now, we're going to start looking at the map, and then we're going to start asking some damaging questions. Because when you look at the map, once it gets up there, we'll start unpacking it. When you look at the map, you will see that the borders of Islam start to increase immediately and very quickly. And they start taking over complete areas of what is known as the Sassanid areas and the Byzantine areas. Now, have you put the map up there yet?
Yes, map is on the screen.
Okay, I can. Okay, here it's just coming up now. So if you can make it nice and big, I want people to look at that map. I'm looking at it now. If you look at the brown areas, look at the brown area, not the orange, not the purple, but the brown area. That is the area that is part of the earliest of the time that Muhammad was living. Okay, that is the area that goes up until 632. So that's from 622 to 632. If you look over to the right side of the peninsula, you'll see a little bit of Oman, part of that area. But that is how much of the land that Muhammad had up until he died. Now, once he died, then Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman and Ali, the four rightly guided caliphs, expanded those borders enormously and very quickly. And that's the orange area. Look at the orange area. You can see that it includes almost all of Persia. It includes almost all of Iraq and Iran today, what we know as Iraq and Iran. It includes going across North Africa, goes right across North Africa, includes Egypt all the way over to Tripoli. So that whole swath of land now is under their control.
So first four caliphs almost conquer that big amount of the place.
Exactly.
Clearly, it didn't went with the flowers and roses, so they were proper taking over.
Yes, and so what do you do when you come and you conquer a new land? You take out the coins that are there and you use your own coins, right? You introduce your own coins. That's what every empire does. That's what every emperor does. Or in this case, that's what every caliph does. Because you announce who you are. More than that, you also introduce a religious symbol. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You introduce a religious symbol to not only announce who you are and your name, but also who you represent. And most importantly, you announce who your God is. And if you're a Muslim, you would do the Shahada, or you would announce who Muhammad is. Am I correct?
They did declaring their faith or putting their creed in it.
The creed is absolutely important for every Muslim today. Ask any Muslim, what do you say when you convert? You say the Shahada. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Ask any Muslim, what do you say before you go to Mecca? You say the Shahada. What do you say before you die? You say the Shahada. What is said over you when you're first born? The Shahada. So the Shahada is the statement of faith that every Muslim must say. It would be the first thing that would be put on any coin. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Especially if you're conquering them. Remember, as you just pointed out about 2 minutes ago, they didn't come with roses. They didn't come with treaties. They didn't come with allegiances. They came with the sword.
Someone said they didn't even came with falafel or with baklava. They came with sword.
They came with the sword. And just look at the swath of land that they controlled during the time of what we know as the rightly guided caliphs. Look at that. That's huge. It extends all the way from almost all the way, if you look carefully, it extends all the way from Afghanistan all the way over to Tripoli. So you're on the borders of India.
So
and from India on the east all the way to Tripoli in the west, and includes all of Syria, all of Iraq, all of Iran, and all of Arabia. Egypt as well.
So until today, we don't have any historical evidence which we can physically see confirms that any historical item contains the Shahada or confirms the Islamic creed in until 661.
Aha, I'm going to say no. I disagree with that statement. We thought we had nothing until today. And we're going to show you that we do have something. Because up till now, the biggest problem, you've heard us, those of you who have been hearing us, have been hearing Hatun and I speak, Al-Fadi, the three of us, what we have said over and over and over again is that there's nothing at all to help us understand what happened during the earliest era of Islam, during the time of Muhammad, during the time of Abu Bakr, during the time of Umar, during the time of Uthman, during the time of Ali. Up that Rashidun period, that 40-year period from 624 to 661, roughly 40 years, that period we have always said, why is it that nothing exists? Why is it nothing written down? Why are there no biographies of this man Muhammad? Why are there no hadith, the sayings of Muhammad? Why is there no tafsir or tahri? Why are all the what we know as the Islamic tradition, why weren't they written down at the very beginning? Remember, we said this for years, haven't we, Hatu?
We've been still asking, yes.
And so we've just kind of frustrated, pulled our hair out, and just decided we can't do anything about it. We're just going to have to work with what we've got. Well, lo and behold, the coins suddenly appeared, because coins are being minted at this time. Now, take off the map now. Everybody's seen the map. You all take one last look at that map. As Hatun takes it out, I want you to put up the first coins. And these are proxy state coins. These are the coins that now exist in that area. Now, this is what's interesting. These are coins that exist in the area we've just looked at, the orange and the brown area that we just looked at. And as she puts them up, I want her to look at the first one. The first one, they are very small copper coins. These are the copper coins that exist between 640 and 660. So roughly, this is the time when Islam really now, or the Muslims really now control this area, the area that you saw on the map. This first coin, the front and back.
Okay, Jane, sorry. I think it was, I can't remember which brother was, but someone not corrected, but wanted to help you with your English. It's not front and back, it's obverse and reverse. Yes.
Yeah, I say obverse and reverse, but I'm assuming an awful lot of people here don't know what we were talking about. So we need to define terms. The obverse would be the front, the reverse would be the back of a coin, and that is numismatic jargon. So we're being clever by saying that. But let's go ahead. If you want me to use those words, I can. So on the left side, we've got it up there, is this Byzantine proxy state. But the proxy state is not in the centers of Byzantine power. This is in the eastern part, the Sassanid area. So this is in Egypt, and this is in what is today Jordan and Israel. So if you're looking at that part around the Mediterranean and over to the east, around the Mediterranean area, which includes Egypt, Lebanon, Israel, Gaza Strip, Syria, and then further east, what to now would be Iraq, and then bits of Iran. This is the coins that were now being minted between 640 and 660. Now take a look at them. You'll notice.
Yeah, in the front side, in the obverse side, we have Constance second. You can see in the box.
Head of Constance the second.
And his scepter.
And on his scepter he has what? Look at the red squares. He has a cross. On both scepters he has a cross, and above his head he has another cross. And then on the reverse side is a letter M. What we would say is a letter M. That is actually a Greek number for the denomination 40 numi. It's the word numi, which is a denomination. In other words, it's a quantity of it's a quantity is what it is, and that's the 40. So that is to show how much that is worth. But look what's above the M. Well, look what's above the 40 numi. A cross again, the Byzantine cross. So here are these people who are living on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean in Egypt, all the way over to Iraq and of course Iran. The coin they're using is basically a Byzantine coin, isn't it? But these are supposed to be Arabs. These are supposed to be Muslims.
So wouldn't you say those coins are from Iraq, Iran towards to Tripoli, that part of the world? In the map, like this will be the old orange area.
This is the old orange area. This is the area that used to be Persian. This is the area that used to be Sasanian.
Yeah.
You're correct. So and this also includes Arabia.
From the previous map, this is all money would be used in the orange colored map.
That's correct. Now put the next coins up, number 4, the next set of coins, because the next set of coins show the very same coin. It is a copper coin. It is a copper coin. But what's fascinating, in this case, take a look at it, and you will see that it is also been minted. It has been used from 640 to 660 up until the time of Muawiyah.
It is the same timeline with the previous coin.
Same time period as the previous coin.
Yeah. And but then again, we've got letter M in one side.
Okay, once people can see it, it's still not up there yet.
Oh, sorry.
When you look at it, you will see that it has the 40 numi, the number M, what we would call a letter M, but for the Byzantines, it would be the numi numeral. And you will see that there is, again, an emperor on the face, but it's not Heraclius. It doesn't have his image. It's just an anonymous emperor. And the cross has been taken off, both the numi and also the emperor's head. So here you have an attempt at creating their own identity. So you have, in some cases, now the way they explain this, and the numismatic experts are explaining this, is that these are crude. You notice they're much cruder than the coin that we were looking at with Heraclius coin. The Heraclius coin is much better made. Of course, it's made in the centers of the Byzantine Empire. These are made by local people much further away from the centers of the Byzantine Empire, and they are much cruder, and they're made by local henchmen so that they would have coins that they could still trade with the empire, but they're beginning to show their own identity. And what they're saying here is they're starting to create and eradicate that Christian hegemony But there's no symbol, there's no religious symbol on these coins, these ones here. Now I want to go to 661 because that gets us up to the time of the Umayyad Caliphate. Now we come to Muawiyah himself. And as you're getting ready, if you could put up coin number 5, or the obverse and the reverse of that coin number 5.
So let me just ask practical question. So we looked at 4 coins until 660, and so far we don't have any coin which we come across has the name of Muhammad as a prophet, or either have the Shahada in it.
Okay, so
far 660 AD, and we do not have Shahada, or we do not have
well, there's another things we don't have. There's no Shahada, that means La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There's no reference to Muhammad, that would be in the Shahada. There's no reference to any Quranic script. There's no Quranic verses that are there. And interestingly, they have most of them have the cross, except for these example that we just showed you of where they have taken the cross off. So there is an attempt to create an Arab identity, but it's not a religious identity yet. There's no religious nomenclature. There's no religious reference point at all. Now we come to Muawiyah. This is number 5 now. Muawiyah. We're now looking at 661. And now, as soon as you get it up there, it's up there now. Take a look at that coin. Get it nice and big, and look at the front side, or the obverse side. This is a gold coin. These are not copper. These are not silver. The other 2 were gold, were silver. Now you have Muawiyah. And remember, Muawiyah, if he can produce and he can create gold coins, he's pretty powerful, is he not?
He was.
He is the beginning. He is the first caliph of the what we call the Umayyad Caliphate, but he is from the Sufyani family.
Yeah, so half of almost all Arabia, North Africa has been taken. So he's leading huge land. We would expect him to be rich and powerful.
Yeah. From 661 to 750, now if you remember the map that we had up earlier, now we moved right across North Africa, and we're up into Andalusia, and we've moved right across to the other side, past Afghanistan, right to the borders, right to the Indus River, right to the borders of India. So now you have Muawiyah. He is powerful. He is the beginning of the caliphate. And now we see his name. Now he introduces himself. And there, what's interesting, if you look at that coin there, look at the left side, which is the obverse. That is the front side of the coin. And you will see it is not his image. Whose image is on there?
That's again Byzantine Empire.
That's Heraclius with his son. That's Heraclius with his son. He is basically mimicking the coin that we saw at the very beginning, which is Heraclius's coin from the Byzantine. So that's Heraclius there with his son. On the back side of the coin, you have the Byzantine cross with the cross piece taken off, and only a little bar at the very top, a symbolic bar. So there you have a Latin inscription around the Byzantine cross, not an Arab inscription. Isn't this interesting? So they have not employed Arabic text here yet.
They just took out the sign of cross, which Christians used to make a point Christ crucified. So that is not there anymore. And still we don't see the Arabic script.
We don't see the Arabic script.
Yeah, and or Islamic script.
When this coin was introduced, the Christians in his empire boycotted it. They wanted nothing to do with it. They were angered by it because he had taken off the cross. Remember, the Byzantine coin had Heraclius not only holding 2 scepters with crosses on it, but had a cross on his crown, and also the back side, the reverse side, had a distinctive Byzantine cross. The fact that he took that cross off became a very controversial, and they boycotted it and they stopped using it. Therefore, he had to bring up the next set of coins, which is the next one that you put up there. And this one here is also fascinating. He has to then placate the Christians. What's fascinating is, remember, Muawiyah controlled Damascus. He controlled all the big cities. He controlled all the mints now. He controlled the mints from Bishapur. He controlled the mints. Bishapur is way over in what is today Iran and Iraq. He controlled the mints in Damascus. He controlled the mints in Cairo. He now had control of those huge cities. There is no reason in the world that he could not put his own imprint on these coins. There's no reason in the world that he could not put his own face on the coins. There is no reason in the world that by this time, with all this control over such a swath of land, with him being so powerful, why in the world does he not have an Islamic reference point? Look and see what he does. He changes it with. He brings this coin now. And when you look at this coin, take a look at where the red squares are. You can see that he has replaced it with the cross again. So he's gone away from the gold coin that had Heraclius's image. Because of the boycotting of that coin, he then replaced it with this coin here. And this coin has the cross on the head and on the scepter. Also, look at the Numi. The letter Numi is back up there again, and it has a cross above it. So why in the world does Muawiyah need to placate the Christians? If they now control all this land, why in the world have they not introduced their own coins with their own nomenclature, with their own, you might say, with their own faces on it? Now, let's put up the next coins.
Okay.
Because the next coin, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Let's put up the next coin, and then I've got
But
practical.
the copper you're showing up right now. Now we want to go to the silver coins, because the silver coins are uniquely from the Sassanid area.
Okay, just a moment. So now we looked at the two coins. Okay, both of them dated 661 to 680. So one of them was gold coin, and then the second one we are seeing is not gold coin. Those coins are very, very different, but they are from the same timeline.
Exactly. And they are the ones that are used mostly in the western part of the empire.
Okay.
So they're the ones used around, they're the ones that are used around what we call the Mediterranean world.
Okay. So
Now we're going to go to the east. And the next set of coins that you're going to put up are what we know as the Umayyad Arab Sassanid silver coins. These were then introduced after the gold coin was boycotted, along and also after the copper coins in the west. So these are now introduced in the east. And these, what are you laughing about?
No, it's just because people just boycotted because Caliph took out the cross, and then he just tried to build a bridge and then introduce something new. You don't like, it is not something you would compromise. Anyway.
Okay. So here's the question I want to ask you. You brought up a good point. If the majority of the people in the empire are boycotting it, would that not suggest that the majority of the people in the empire are Christian?
Yeah, they're saying like, where is my cross? Like they're, so therefore now he is gonna put something together, which he's starting introducing his creed.
Okay, can you start to see what's happening here? You're having a conflict between those who are Christian, which suggests to me that these are the majority of the people in the empire, and those who are trying to create another identity. So what is that identity? Well, let's look at this next coin. Here is a Sassanid coin that is a silver coin that Muawiyah introduces. Well, hold on a minute. Did I say Muawiyah? We don't know who introduces this coin, because Muawiyah's signature is not on this. This coin does not have Muawiyah's name on it. Fascinating. It is nothing. It is, and that face that you see there that's turned to the right on the front side is an anonymous face. It does not represent any emperor or any caliph. It is a typical Persian face, though, because you can see the beard. That's very typical of the Zoroastrians and the Persians to have that kind of beard. And we saw this when we were back when we were in the British Museum. You could see the images of the Sassanids, the Persians, had that kind of face. So that is a typical Persian face.
So we've got the face, and then when you look at within the circle, just next to face, there's a writing.
Now, what is that writing?
That's
it says Lillah.
That's the most merciless, most sexist Allah.
Unto Allah is introduced on this coin. This is the first time we see Allah's name on
In the
any coin.
coin. That's
Okay.
661.
661, Allah's name is introduced. On the right side, though, on the reverse side of the coin, take a look at it carefully, and what do you notice? You notice a Sasanian fire altar. Sasanian fire altar. This is a Zoroastrian altar. So this is a Zoroastrian coin. It shows the fire altar, which designated it is Zoroastrian. It is not Islamic. It is not Christian. It is Zoroastrian. It is Persian. That's a whole other religious segment. So what is Allah's name doing on the front? Unto Allah. Ooh, I love this. Suggesting to me that Allah has been used right across that part of the world. And I would suggest the reason why is because we now know where Allah comes from. This has to be an awful lot of research. I'm putting it out there. And if people want to come back, they can ask later on, because that's a whole other study. We need to know how that they got the name Allah, because we do know that that comes from Ilaha. Ilaha is the Nabatean name for God. Ilaha is the generic Nabatean name for God. It is nothing more than, it all means nothing more than the God, both in Nabatean, and it looks like also in Sasanian, Pahlavi. Pahlavi would be the language that they use, so that's a Pahlavi reference to Ilaha, or in this case, Lila, unto Allah. Okay?
So let me just summarize so far. We are in the 661. So far, we do not have from Islamic coins. We do not have any Shahada. We do not have name of Muhammad so far. Now we are meeting with the name of Allah from Sasanian silver coin, which is dated 661, and writing says unto Allah. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So now let me move to the next one.
The next one is now Muawiyah's. This is distinctly Muawiyah's coin.
663.
663. So this is 2 years into his rule. He's been in power since 661. And what you notice on the obverse, on the front side, is written in Middle Persian, Ma'wiya Amir Urishnikan. I have no idea whether or not I'm pronouncing that correct or not, but means Muawiyah, commander of the faithful. So he is now introducing his name onto the coins, and those are the coins that are used in the East. Now, on the outside of the front, you will see Bismillah. Can you see it in Arabic there? The lower right-hand side of the front side?
Yeah, so it's just in the circle.
Just outside the circle, sorry.
Yes,
just
sir. Yeah, just outside of the circle. You can see it's in the between red circles.
Yeah,
squares.
What you read the circle is actually Muawiyah's name, which is Muawiyah, commander of the faithful. But on the bottom, outside the circle, there in the margin, is Bismillah. On the back side, then, is the fire altar, the Zoroastrian fire altar, with attendants with mint name. So, which god is this referring to? Is this the Zoroastrian god? Obviously, it looks like it is. It looks like that Muawiyah is probably either Zoroastrian or that he is inculcating this on these coins. Now, isn't it interesting that by doing that, the people use the coins?
So let me just understand something. So we have Bismillah, okay, in the name of Allah, and we have lots of images on it. We don't have anything linked with Islam so far. Remember Islamic view of images. Allah didn't like images. Angels were afraid of the picture stuff. So in here, now we suddenly seeing the name of Bismillah without any other Islamic references.
That's correct.
Okay.
So now remember, we're 30 years after Muhammad's died.
And this is 663, by the way.
We're past the rightly guided caliphs. We now are into a period where almost all of North Africa, all of the eastern part of the Mediterranean, all of Arabia, all of Iraq and Iran were now under Islamic control. Yet there's nothing Islamic about this coin except for the Bismillah. But the Bismillah looks like it's not a Muslim Bismillah. This is a Zoroastrian Bismillah. How do we know? Look at the backside of the coin. Look at the fire altar. That is uniquely Zoroastrian. Are you following me?
I'm following. I'm just looking forward to see the next one, because next one is one of my favorite.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Sorry, Jay. Sorry, nothing personal.
Let's go to the next one, because the next one is Muawiyah's. Now, this is 667. This is not 663. So now
this one is my favorite.
Okay, now explain to me why this is your favorite.
Because when you look at the Arabic in here, the writing, you will see Allah is the king. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin part, that's like Surah 1, where Allah is identified as the king. In here, it says, in the name of God, the King, Bismillah al-Malik.
And this is the Malik that they don't like you to bring up when you look at your Hafs versus Warsh. Either Malik, the owner, or Malik, the king.
Yeah, in here, it's the short one, the king one. Okay, tell us about this coin, Jay.
Okay, well, you can see already, if you look at the left side, the front part of the coin, you will see the Bismillah al-Malik on the left hand, on the outer corner. You can see Bismillah al-Malik is the left lower side of that coin, outside the ring. That's the Malik, that's the king. On the right side, which is the reverse, is that fire altar again. This is again another Zoroastrian coin. So and there is Muawiyah's face. Now he claims it as his own. He claims that that face is his face. Remember, before it was a nondescript face. It was nothing more than a Sassanid Persian face. Now he puts his name around it inside that circle. So here, the sequence starts with unto Allah. That's the first coin of the silver coins. Then Muawiyah adds in the name of Allah. And here he adds the king. So you have unto Allah, in the name of Allah, the king. There is still no reference to any Muslim character. There's no Shahada, La ilaha illallah is not here. Muhammad's name is not here. No reference to anything that we would expect if this was a Muslim coin.
Yeah, but I want to just give extra attention for people to follow up the structure, how name of Allah is going through the process. Okay, as Jay said, in the beginning it's on to Allah, and then it becomes Bismillah, and then it becomes Bismillah al-Malik. So now, like, it's just it's processing towards something about the come.
Okay, so from 661 unto Allah, 630, 663, you have in the name of Allah, and then 667 in the name of Allah al-Malik, the king.
Yeah.
In the name of Allah, Malik, the king. Not in the name of Allah, Muhammad. It's the king. And who's the king? Well, look inside the circle. It's Muawiyah. His name's in there. So it's actually aggrandizing himself. So here's fascinating. When Muslims say that they control the whole land, when Muslims say that Muhammad introduced the Shahada, when Muslims say that this was all within by the time he died in 632, everything was complete. All the traditions were in place. All the sayings were in place. Not from what the coins are telling us. The coins are telling us that in the eastern seaboard of the Mediterranean world, that whole the western part of what was then of the Arab conquest, there was no reference at all to any Islamic terms. They were all Christian and Byzantine. On the eastern part, which is the Persian area, they were all Zoroastrian. And they are introducing for the first time the name of Allah. That's the only thing we can see. But remember, Allah predates Islam. It comes from the word ilaha. It is a Nabatean word for God.
Yeah, so what I have on the screen is I've got the map again for people to visualize. visualize it. I can't pronounce that word now, but that, like, for you to see it. So all orange, brown, and then little bit purple. Islamic Empire is hanging, okay? They are giving flowers to people so that people become a Muslim and then share life together, all that blah blah. Yet we do not have Shahada. We do not have proper reference to Islamic creed. And like so far we looked at the coins until 667. What we saw closest to Islam by non-Muslims, how the name of Allah is processing. So Allah, into Allah, Bismillah, in the name of Allah, and then Bismillah al-Malik, Allah, in the name of God, the King.
Okay, now Hatun, let me stop you right there. What is the true Bismillah that we have in the Quran? Open up your Quran and read it. It's in chapter 1, verse 1.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Verse 1, called the Fatiha, is the Bismillah that is uniquely Islamic. Bismillah al-Rahman al-Rahim is what it says in Arabic in my Quran. What does that mean in English?
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, most gracious.
The most gracious, the most merciful. That is the Bismillah that every Muslim knows. That is the Bismillah that Muhammad supposedly introduced. That is the Bismillah that is the very first verse of the Quran. That is the Bismillah that every Muslim must say before they start their prayers every day. That is the Bismillah that starts the Quran. That is the Bismillah that begins the Fatiha. If that is the Bismillah that Muhammad knew, that everybody knew, then why don't we have that Bismillah on this coin? Where is Al-Rahman Al-Rahim?
Just a side note, Jay. It's not only in Surah 1, it is almost in every Surah except Surah 9. So we see the Bismillah within 113 Surah, and then we also see it in somehow twice in Surah 33. So it's all over the Quran. Allah just failed to tell people to read it in the Surah 9, since Surah 9 is not that merciful at all. And we are in year 667, where Islam is just trying to share life with non-Muslims. Yet we do not have proper version of Bismillah. As we are coming across how it is developing.
This is a deformed Bismillah. Bismillah al-Malik. That is not the Bismillah we see in the Quran. That is not the Bismillah that introduces every surah except 9. That is not the Bismillah that is found twice in chapter 33. That is not the Bismillah of the Quran. That is not the Bismillah of the Islam. Why is it on this coin, on these coins, completely different? Because that is a Zoroastrian Bismillah, which suggests to me Islam has yet to begin. There still is no Islam as we know it. No Islam as we know it.
So that is 40 years. They should be able to put their things together. Or with like what they've done, instead of like killing people, what else they did. It should be very simple.
Remember that Muawiyah continues right up until 680. So we're not just talking about 667. These coins continue to be introduced. These coins continue to be minted. They don't change much after this period, right up until 680. And then a new family comes to power. And if you put up the next coins, then the next coin, number 10, because now we're starting to finally get an Islamic identity. But look at the date, because we don't have any coins even from Marwan the First, who is the one that takes over from the Sufyani family. He defeats the Sufyani family. He's still an Umayyad. He then sets up his hegemony of power, and it is his son, Abdul Malik, who then comes to power in 685. And it is Abdul Malik. So up till this time. So we're not just talking about 40 years. We're talking about, in this case, we're talking about 50 to 60 years later, there is still no Islamic identity at
There
all.
is no there is no shahada.
It should have been introduced in the 624, from the time that Islamic Caliphate was inaugurated. From what we're telling in, so from 624 we should see a shahada. From 624 we should see Muhammad's name somewhere. We should, not an image of him. I'm not saying we're looking for an image, but that's a whole problem in and of itself. We're not permitted to have any images. No Muslims are permitted to have any images. But look at every one of these coins have images. Have you noticed? Which suggests to me none of these coins are Islamic, which suggests to me Islam has yet to come to the world. Islam, as we know today, was not introduced. Now let's jump to this coin here. And Hatun, tell me the date for this coin, because take a look. This should be 624. We're now 70 years later, almost 70 years later. And what's the date?
So we are around 692?
This is 692. This is 692. 692, Abdul Malik. Now, who is Abdul Malik? Well, we've talked a lot about Abdul Malik in the past. Abdul Malik is the great emperor. He is the one that creates the Arab identity. He is the one that is well known for building the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. He is the one that builds the greatest structure of his day. Nothing been equaled almost since. That is an enormously big building, sits it right there in the middle of Jerusalem, looking down on the Church of Sepulchre. He is the one that introduces the first Quranic script. We don't see any script of any Quranic verse until the Dome of the Rock is built, and until this coin is introduced. This is finally the coin we're looking for. So we thought. Take a look at this coin. You're not going to find many examples of this. This is a very rare coin to find. And the reason is very clear. Abdul Malik had to have a relationship. He had to pay tribute to Justinian II, who was the Byzantine emperor. He was the Byzantine emperor from 669 up to 711. So his biggest competition was Justinian II, who he hated because Justinian, the Byzantine, was much more powerful than he. But here is Abdul Malik. He's living in Damascus. Remember, he's not living in Mecca. He's not living in Medina. He's not living in Jerusalem. He's living way up in Damascus, which is 1,200 miles from Mecca, up right near the Byzantine Empire. And that's where now he has a whole swath of land. Now, if you want to go back to that map again, he now controls all the way from Andalusia. You don't have to. I think people know it well enough. But he now controls all the way from Andalusia all the way to India. All that land is under his control. From Andalusia in the west all the way to India in the east. Huge amount of land. He is at the height of now the Umayyad Caliphate.
So that's like in the map from purple, almost like half of the purple area.
So the purple area, the orange area, and the brown area.
Yes, sorry, yeah. Just get rid of the yellow.
Yeah, I mean, all that area now is under his control. However, he has to pay tribute to Justinian, which he hates. There you can see the map. Look at Andalusia, that's what is Spain today, all the way across North Africa, all of Egypt, because remember, it would be much further south of that, but remember, that's all desert. That's the Sahara Desert, so they don't put it in there because there are no towns, there are no villages, there are no cities down there. So really, it's just that swath of that land that follows the Mediterranean, includes all of the Middle East, does not include Turkey. You notice, that is Byzantine still.
Until 1457.
Until 1457, you should know, because that's your country. And then the control goes right across Ctesiphon, Baghdad, and Iraq, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and what is today Pakistan. So that whole swath of land is now under his control. He has to pay tribute. So what does he do? He mints this coin. I want you to put that coin back up again. He mints this coin, and what's fascinating, this is the same coin that we saw at the very beginning, is it not? Or we think it is the same coin, but it's not. It looks like the very same coin we started with. I don't know if you could put both coins up side by side, number 1 and number 10. If you could put number 1 and 10 up together, we could then do a comparison.
I feel you are asking too much, but today
Okay,
I am very kind.
If you can't, that's okay. It doesn't matter. But there is the very similar. We've seen that coin before, have we not? We think we've seen that coin before because it looks like the very first coin we put up, which was the drachma from Heraclius, the coin that put up by the Byzantine emperor, the great Byzantine emperor. And that one that we saw with him has him holding an orb. There you have it behind you. Okay.
Yeah, they are next to each other now.
Okay, they're next to each other. On the left side, you have drachma, or I'm sorry, on the right side, you have the drachma. And that is the Byzantine drachma. And you notice it has a Byzantine cross and it has a cross piece. If you look on the front side of that coin, which has a green background, it has Heraclius with his two sons behind him, and he is holding an orb with a cross on it. Now, the coin on the left in the white background is what Abd al-Malik introduces. But no longer is there an emperor. Now that's him with his sons. And instead of the orb with a cross on it, he's taken the cross off. And he's taken the cross off the head of the headpiece of his headpiece. And notice on the reverse side, he has taken the cross piece off. Still the pedestal. Still there is a, you can see the mid piece going up. And then around the backside, you notice the backside, he has written, Bismillah, illa Allah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. In the name of God, there is no God but God alone. Muhammad is his messenger. So
Bismillah, Allah, Muhammadan Rasulullah. Better.
Here you see the Bismillah followed by the
Muhammad
the
Prophet, yeah.
So this is the first time we see Muhammad's name introduced, right? What do you think Heraclius, and what do you think Justinian did? Justinian was angered, refused to accept it, because the tribute was to be paid in what he considered to be a mockery, a coin that mocks him. So here, Abd al-Malik is the one that introduces finally an Islamic identity. In this case, it's both Muhammad is introduced, Allah is introduced, and the Bismillah, praise be unto him. This is the first one. Now, there have been some Muslims who do not like this. There have been people that have said, and I want you to go to the next set of coins, sect number 11. So we need to go through this controversy to shut this one down. Because there are those that say, well, that may be so, but the name Muhammad is found actually 6 years earlier or 7 years earlier in 685 when Muhammad first came to power. And if you look at that coin, even Clive Ross, Dr. Clive Ross, who I looked at, even suggested this as well, that you can find Muhammad Rasulullah on these silver coins from the Sassanid, these dirhams that are created in Bishapur in Iran, far to the east. You do have Muhammad's name in that. And if you look at it, then Muhammad's name is there. What I don't trust are the dates. And that's why if you look at both those two coins that we have there, front and back, you will see Muhammad Rasulullah. And then on the bottom one, you'll see the green and the red. In the green is Muhammad, his messenger. In the red is Bismillah. So you can see those coins, if they were, according to Islamic awareness, those were created in 685. Regardless of whether you're going to take those dates as correct, that is still Abd al-Malik. Am I correct, Hatun?
Yeah.
Because he comes to power in 685. So these are still his coin, though they are silver coins from the Sassanid area from far over to the east. If you take the next two coins, you will see that these are exactly the same coins from the silver area, and these are you can buy today, and they are introduced in the Numista site and the Numisbid site, and according to Bates, Walker, Miles, and Bates, Walker, Miles, and Foss. Sorry, Bates, Walker, Miles, who are the authority on the Arabic coins and the earliest Arabic coins. These same silver coins that are exactly the same that Foss and Islamic Awareness have on, they date them to 692.
Sorry.
So this is the problem. People don't know where to put these dates.
Okay. Sorry. I might just get confused. The coins which has the name of Muhammad, the four coins together has the name of Muhammad. Can you just give me the date for that again, Jay?
According to Foss on his paper, and
Yeah,
according to Islam website on their website, they date this coin to
85.
685 or 686.
Yeah,
According to almost everybody else, including Bates, Walker, and Miles, who are the experts on this, according to their websites, according to the Numista website, also according to Nimis Bid, which are selling these coins, they are the ones that sell these coins. They date these exact same coins with all the same lettering, with Muhammad, Bismillah, and Rasul, the Shahada. They date them to 692 or later.
okay.
So there is a conflict of dates that we're
Yeah,
seeing here.
yeah, got it.
Regardless of what date you give it, if it's 686 or 685 or 692, that is still all Abdul Malik. That's all we want to say. It is Abdul Malik. And what if you want to say that these are 685, then I would suggest that what Abdul Malik is doing, he is introducing these silver coins way off into the east to get started his idea of who Muhammad, he wants to introduce Muhammad in the eastern part, which is in the backwater of his empire.
Yeah.
But then when he's 692, when he then wants to introduce himself to the whole world, and especially to the Byzantines, he introduces the gold coins. And those gold coins, everybody agrees, is 692.
But still, don't we still have a problem if name of Muhammad, if Muhammad is identified as Rasul here and dated 685 or 692 in these coins, still we would question how can that be? Remember, heavenly beings are afraid of the picture, so why did early Muslims, did they not know that? They put the pictures in this, and
Okay.
those pictures, like, maybe my eyesight might be very, very bad, but doesn't look at all has anything to do with Islam.
Absolutely. And that's why we need to go to the next slide, because the next picture underscores that. We already saw it in the 692 coins. The 692 coins that we looked at had a picture of Abdul Malik himself with his two sons. When we then get to the slide number 13, this is 693. Because of the fact that Justinian refused to accept his coins, Abdul Malik then refuses to pay tribute anymore, and that's where the war begins between the Byzantines and the Arab and the Muslims. This is when Islam now takes on the Byzantines. Okay, this is the beginning of the conflict between the Byzantines, and that's why you have a war that starts to ensue. And what does Abdul Malik do? Look and see what he introduces. In 693, then he introduces this coin, both in gold and in copper. What's fascinating, take a look at them, you will see that his image is now there, not the image of he and his two sons, only his image is now there. So he's really planting himself down as I am now an authority. And what's on the front of these coins? Now remember, these are exactly the same coins. They're just gold and copper. So they're different. Again, gold is is much more valuable than the copper, and the gold is used for large pieces. They use it for bullion, so they do it by weight. They don't do it by like we do today. They do it by weight, and of course, gold weight is a lot more. So look at the gold, and what does it say on the front? The servant of God, Abdul Malik, commander of the believers. So that's his name. He's put himself up there. This is me. That's me. That's his image right there. On the back side is a staff of the globe called the Qutb, which is known as the rod. And inscribed it is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There's no God but God. Muhammad is his messenger. So on the back side, on both the gold coin and on the copper, you now see the Shahada. So you
That's
have
dated 693.
And this continues up until 696.
Yeah. So just let me just point out something. As you look at the both of the coins, I want you to see the sign of the religion of pieces. Look what he's holding, and his
He has
picture.
a big sword there in front of him.
Yeah, because remember, Islam spread with the flowers, kebabs, falafel, whatever it is. And then so we see the symbol, and then we see the picture. Just side information I want everyone to remember again. heavenly beings had a problem with pictures according to Islam, but seems Abdul Malik was not aware of it.
Okay, now we come to the mother lode, the big one. This is the one that I've been waiting for this whole time. We're now coming to the coin. This is the coin that basically creates Islam as we know it. This is the big one. This is the mother lode. This is the one I've been waiting for all, let's see, we've been going now almost an hour and 10 minutes.
1 hour,
This,
10 minutes, 36 seconds.
okay, you've got it down exactly. This is the coin that is introduced by Abdul Malik in 696.
So
Remember,
so in this coin we don't have his picture. They just got rid of pictures in the both sides. Probably by this side 696 they remembered Allah and heavenly beings have a problem with the pictures, and they got rid of the symbol of Islam, the sword.
more than that, they also get rid of the king's name.
Yeah.
Abdul Malik takes his name off it. Abdul Malik takes his image off it.
So he just becomes nobody. He becomes nobody.
He takes everything that is showing, pointing to him, and now he puts everything that's pointing to God. And this coin now becomes the beginning of all coins that follow. This is the beginning of all Islamic coinage. But look at the date, 696 to 697. This is way, way too late. This coin should have been introduced in 624.
So in one side, we have the Shahada. What do we have in other side, Jay?
So in the middle, in the look on the top part, the top coin, in the middle is La ilaha la wahduda sharika. Now remember, that's not the Shahada. That's not the Shahada. There's no God but alone. He has no associates. That is not the Shahada, which is curious. So why is he has no associates there? Well, that's attacking Byzantine Christianity, is it not?
So that's
it's attacking the person of Jesus Christ.
So you are talking about
the central part.
Yeah.
Looking the front. Look at the coin at the top and look at the central area. That is, there is no God but God alone. He has no associates. Then on the margin, and this is why I wish Al-Fadi had been here, because it says Muhammad Rasulullah Allah arsalahu bil huda wa din al-haq liyud dhiru ala al-dini kulahi wala kari al-mushrikun. What is that saying? Now, I just tortured the Arabic. That's why it's so good if we had Al-Fadi here.
Muhammad is the messenger of God, whom he sent with guidance and with the religion of truth, that he might make it prevail over all religions, even if the associations are averse.
Even if the associators are averse.
Yes.
That's us. Even if we don't like it. Even if we get upset, is what he's saying. Even the mushrikun, that's found in Surah 9, Ayah 5. The mushrikun. That's the sword verse.
Yeah, that's how Allah express love towards them. Yeah.
Don't you love the irony that's just eking out of every pore whenever you speak? Yeah. So here you have really a very combative coin, don't you? It's attacking Jesus' divinity, and it's attacking anybody, all people who are mushriks, people who equate another with God, who associate another with God. On the back side, then, in the inside, there now you have Allahu Ahad, Allahu Al-Samad, Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad, which is God the One, God the Eternal. He did not beget and was not begotten. Who is that attacking?
Christian faith. That's the little bit version of the Surah 112.
That is a deformation of Surah 112,
yeah.
which is the same thing that we find also on the Dome of the Rock, which
yeah.
was created 5 years earlier, or 4 years earlier, sorry. So, which was created 4 years earlier.
Everyone can notice, Jay, you just butchered Arabic, which is absolutely fine, but people can see what it says. So first one is talking about Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, send all the guidance to the people, you like it or not. And then back side of the coin is little bit different version of the Surah 112. Kulufallahu ahad, Allahu samad, velam yulat, velam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad is the current version. But in here we've got little bit different version. So overall, coin is just there to attack Christian faith and declare Muhammad as the messenger of Allah. Shameful. Historically shameful moment this is, I think.
But isn't this fascinating, Hatun, that you can pull out a number of things just with this coin? First and foremost, this, if you look at that, it mentions the Surah 112. It also mentions the first part and the second part of the Shahada, but it's not the same Bismillah or the same Shahada that we're using today.
Yeah.
You can see the deformation, yet this is the earliest Quranic material we have. This is the earliest. So the Quran that we now see today with the Bismillah in the front on the first verse is again a evolution of this Bismillah. And also the Shahada that we now see in the Quran with La ilaha Muhammad Rasulullah is also an evolution of this Shahada. So this Shahada is the first Shahada we see. This is the first Bismillah that we've been seeing being evolved from the time of Mu'awiyah up until the time of Abdul Malik, proving that even the Quran had to come after this, because when the Quran is finally written down, it does not follow the same narrative. It does not follow the same formula.
Yeah, also can I just point out something? So Islam is declaring itself, okay? Instead of explaining itself, what it does is it attacks faith of other people around it. It is very, very polemical ideology. When you ask Muslims what is your good news, they've got nothing to say, because as we look back to history, we see actually early Muslims had nothing to say about what is their good news. Or when you ask Muslims what is Islam all about, they just attack what you believe, and they can't even simply tell you what it is Islam about, because that's how early Muslims dealt with it. Just perfect example.
Now, Hatun, I want you to put up the last image, but I want you to put up alongside the gold. Can you do that? Can you put the silver ones?
I feel you are being a bit fussy, but...
I'm being fussy, but I know you can do anything.
No, I'm not God. I can't do anything without God.
Oh, you're Hatun, but you can do anything next to God.
So I'm just gonna cover you this time, okay? Nothing personal, Jay.
I want people to see me. I want people to see the coin.
Nothing personal. So this is again 697 coin.
This is the next year. The gold coin that's on the left is 696. Now off in the east, over in the Sassanid area, where the silver coins are created. Remember, we mentioned that the copper and gold coins come from the west part of the empire, around the Mediterranean. The silver coins come from the Sassanid or the Persian area, and we've seen this all the way through. Now let's look at this coin, and when you look at this coin, you will see that it is very similar, almost exactly the same as the gold coin on the left, except one addition, and that is the addition wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad, and there is none like unto him. So this is attacking Jesus' divinity. It's attacking John 3:16 and begetting of God. It's attacking and it's imposing Allah's uniqueness. And here it's showing that Islam is superior. So now you see even another step of imposing itself on its populace. So what Abdul Malik is doing, he's not just coming up with a coin that, in fact, up until this time, all the coins always gave the name of the caliph or the emperor. They gave the date when it was made. They usually gave the name of the mint where it was minted, and then they would give usually an image of the person, and they would also give an image of their religion. In the case of the Byzantines, it was always a cross. In the case of the Zoroastrian, it was always a fire altar. All of that has been thrown out. All of that has been thrown out. From 696, there are no images of anybody. There is no reference to anybody, any king or any caliph. There is no any symbolism. No images are permitted. Not even symbols are permitted. Now it is only script. It is Arabic script. So what is Abdul Malik doing here? He is imposing the Arab language on all of his kingdom, on all of his empire. And this then becomes the norm for the next 1400 years. Even today, this is what all the coins have. But they don't have this writing. This writing gets changed as the Quran starts to be introduced. They then start, and we can do that. Will be another chapter that we can go to, looking and see when the coins start to bring in Quranic verses that equate with the Quran we have today. This obviously on these coins are pre-Quranic verses. These are pre-Islamic Bismillahs. This is a pre-Islamic Shahada that does not conform with the Shahada or the Bismillah or the Quran that we have today. Can you see why this is important that we follow the coins? Because the coins don't lie.
So let me just make a kind of a point. So the coins you are seeing on the screen, they've got only 1 year between them, okay? Front side of the coin, which used to have the picture, now has Shahada, as well as place of Muhammad, and then like they are exactly the same, like it or not, Islam is here, true religions, blah blah blah. In the back side, now in the golden one, we have little bit version of the Surah 112, the part which says God is one, God is eternal, he is not begotten. Okay, in the how do you call, not gold one, silver one. So you have all full version of Surah 112. Now they like fully formed the Surah 112. Kulufallahu ahad, Allahu samad, velam yulat, velam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. So what Muslims are doing is now attacking core Christian doctrine. And that's not enough. Simply, God doesn't have a son, he's not begotten, and there is nothing like him. That's very, very, I think as a Christian, we do find this very offensive when Islam, without any knowledge, attacks my core Christian doctrine. What a shame, I think.
Let's take that one step further. Remember Shabit Ali, one of Shabit Ali's most famous polemic against Christianity is just this. He looks at Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And he notes that in Matthew, Mark, and in Luke, you have, they predate the Gospel of John. And that the Gospel of John would have been written around 90 AD, whereas Matthew, Mark, and Luke would have been written between 40 and 60 AD. Am I correct?
60 to 70. Gospels. 60 to 70.
John coming later. And he made a famous claim, and he still holds by it, and Bart Ehrman also makes this claim, that there's an evolution in the Christology of Jesus between Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And that the strong Christology is found in John, whereas you do not find such strong Christology in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. That has gone for around the world. I hear Muslims saying that all the time. And I have to sit there and scratch my head because that has been debunked by almost every major Christian apologist, including us. We have done that at Fander. You've done that at DCCI. Al-Fadi's done that at SIDA International. But what's interesting is, can you see that they're talking about an evolution between 60 AD and 90 AD. That means within a 30-year period of the first century. They cannot prove it, nor they show it, because we now know Matthew, Mark, and Luke all have Christological reference. Jesus is referred to as God the Father, as God the Son, God the Son of Man, over and over again, which are divine terms. What's fascinating is we've now, just by looking at these coins, have seen that from 624 all the way up till 696, that's 70 years, you can see that there is no Islamic nomenclature. There is no Islamic reference. There is no Islamic Shahada as we know it today, nor the Bismillah as we know today. And here now in 696, we get the first, or 692 before that, we first get Muhammad introduced. By 696, we get a Bismillah and a Shahada that is not the same that we have today, and Surah 112 introduced. And can you then see that this is, if you want to talk about an evolution of the theology of Islam, look at the coins and see that evolution. Remember with Muawiyah, Allah is first introduced in 661. In 663, then you have unto Allah. Then you have Bismillah, sorry.
No, you've got unto Allah, you've got Bismillah, and then you've got Bismillah al-Malik.
And then 667, you then finally get the reference to
Bismillah al-Malik.
So you even have an evolution between 661 and 667. Where is Muhammad in all this? Where is the Shahada in all this? Where is the true Bismillah that we use today? That is not introduced until 696, 692 with Muhammad, 690 with the Shahada, 696 with the Bismillah, and also Surah 112. Can you see this is still we still haven't fully got the Quranic reference for any of this, because none of these references fit the Quranic references. So we're going to have to continue with the coins to see when finally we get Quranic verse that equals, or Quranic references that equal this Quran that I have in my hand today. These coins tell us an awful lot. And what we can do and what we can say is we can now summarize it, if you want to then bring this to a conclusion.
Yeah. Go ahead. Like, overall, my summary is how disturbing when you look at the history of Islam. Like, you look at the history of Christian scripture or history of Christianity, you see how history confirms confirms the informations within the Christian scripture, versus you look at the Islamic history, tradition crushes history. History goes against Muslim claims. History goes against Muslim. It's just like messed up. And it's like end of 7th century. Finally, they made little bit time from whatever they were doing, sharing life with non-Muslims, put together Shahada. I think it's just disturbing. But I think you make proper conclusion for us, Jay.
Let's go through each one of these step by step. We first looked and we saw that prior to 660 AD, all early coins show a clear Christian identity on both sides of the coin. All the coins up until 660 show that. There's nothing that would be Islamic on any of the coins, whether they're Byzantine, whether they're Sassanid. There are Zoroastrian fire altars, which would show certainly a Zoroastrian input. But other than that, they would all be Christian. By 624 to 660, however, is the Rashidun period, the rightly guided caliph. If that is the beginning of the caliphate, then why in the world do we find nothing from any coins that were minted at that time that are Islamic? There's no reference to people called Muslims. There's no reference to religion called Islam. There's no reference to a man named Muhammad. There's no reference to a place called Mecca. And there is no reference to the Shahada nor to the Bismillah on any of these coins. Yet, as we saw from the map, by the time that Muawiyah comes to power in 661, right from 624 up until 661, that rightly guided caliph, the time of the Muhammad with the 4 caliphs, they controlled an awful large swath of land, all the way from Tripoli in North Africa over to Afghanistan in the east. Now, from 640 to 660, we do see some proxy states. We do see some coins coming into play from proxy states, primarily in the east. These are with silver coins. On them, some of them have crosses, and some of them don't have crosses, which seems to suggest that leading up until 660, you're getting some local leaders, not caliphs. These are not kings. These are local leaders. These are very crude coins that we showed. They're usually made out of silver, and they are minting their own coins, and they're taking off the cross. So there is an attempt to try to rule back or pull back away from the Byzantine hegemony. Muawiyah then comes to power in 661. He's living in Damascus. He then creates his own coins. And in all of his coins, he retains those Christian symbols. And these symbols continue right up until 660. So I'm sorry, 680. He comes to power in 661. He continues these coins up until 680. Interesting, we looked at some of the Eastern coins, the Sassanid coins from his empire. And we see that there is the beginning of the name of Allah is introduced in 661. Then, as we saw earlier, the Bismillah is then introduced in 663. And then you have the Bismillah al-Malik is introduced in 667. So you're seeing the beginning of at least a Bismillah introduced in the 600s. 660s, which makes sense, but they're all on silver coins. This continues up until 680 when the Mudwinids come to power. The Mudwin the First is the first caliph. He's living in Damascus. He then dies in 685, and his son Abdul Malik comes to power. Abdul Malik is a strong character, and he possibly introduces way off in the east silver coins with Muhammad's name, the Shahada. That could be, though there is a disagreement between scholars on this. Some of the scholars say that these coins, these silver coins, are from 692. Others say they're from 685. Regardless, they are all with Abdul Malik's name on them. So they're all introduced by Abdul Malik. What is most important is that by 692, he introduces his first gold coin. And it's that coin where Muhammad, the Shahada, is very clear. And that's where the Byzantine cross, as the crosspiece has been taken off. And the Shahada then is around that crosspiece. He still has the Heraclius face on the front, but that is such, Justinian's face on the front, but that becomes such a controversial coin that Justinian refuses to accept it. He refuses to take the tribute. Then Abdul Malik and Justinian go to war. Now, that happens in 692. In 693, 694, Abdul Malik then puts his own images on the coin. He now takes off the images of he and his two sons, which he then first introduces after that, and only introduces his image. His image, and then you see the Shahada beginning to be introduced along the margins. It's not till 696, however, that he takes off all the images. And all the images go. Now remember, we have been told by Muslims that nobody can have any image anywhere, that this is something that came from the time of Muhammad. Am I correct?
According to Islamic tradition, yeah.
According to Islamic tradition, this was when Muhammad was living. There were no images. Nobody could commit an image because that's idolatry. Yet here you have Abdul Malik with an image, with a big sword that you like to point out, because this man liked to show that he was powerful. But then he introduces these coins, the most important coins, in 696. Now, he's been in power for 11 years. In 696, he introduces the gold coins. The next year, he introduces the silver coins, which are reference after reference, attacking Jesus, attacking his divinity, attacking his sonship, attacking John 3:16, introducing Muhammad, and basically saying that that nobody will defeat the Muslims. They are now the conquerors, that Allah will help them to conquer. This is a very bellicose coin. This is a very vibrant, strident coin. This is a coin to attack anybody that stands against him. That becomes then the foundation for all coins that come after that. From that point on, from 696 and 697, no other images are used, no other names of caliphs are put on, no mint names are put in there, no dates are put on it. It now all becomes Quranic script. However, it's not the Quran. This is not really the Quran, is it? These are deformations of the Quran. That comes later, and that's the next chapter we need to get into. So what are my conclusions? Well, I would suggest that while Allah's name is introduced early, probably because it's borrowed from the Nabatean God, Muhammad is not. And what you would expect every Muslim coin to have would be Muhammad's name, or at least the Shahada. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That's not found on any coin until 690s. The numismatic evidence seems to support the archaeological evidence, seems to support the documentary evidence. Have you noticed, Hatun? Everything that we've been saying today fits exactly with what Don Gibson has found with the Qibla, what he has found with all the geographical locations in the Quran, the 65 geographical locations, what he has found with the Hajj, and also with the stages of the Hajj that he has found there in Petra. That in everything we're looking at seems to suggest that Islam did not exist during the time of Muhammad, did not exist during the time of Abu Bakr or Umar or Uthman or Ali, if those men even existed, because we have no reference to them. What we do find and what we do see from the coins is that Muawiyah plays a very big role. Muawiyah is the first one to start to pull away from the Byzantines and start to introduce his own nomenclature. And he start to introduce Allah and introduce the Bismillah, and he as a king. But the big man in all of this story is Abdul Malik. And we've said this about Abdul Malik, have we not, Hatun? We've
Yes.
mentioned this many times. You've got to begin with Abdul Malik, because all the earliest Quranic inscriptions, the earliest Quranic manuscripts, the earliest Quranic fragments begin with around the time of Abdul Malik and start to begin at the time of Al-Walid. But the coin suggests that it is he that introduces the Shahada. It is he that introduces the Bismillah. It is he that is attacking Christianity. It is he that is attacking our Lord Jesus Christ. And that then makes sense why he builds the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, and why he has the Dome of the Rock facing Petra. But all the earliest inscriptions that are on the ambulatories fit what we see on the coins, and are come from the same time as the coins, which also parallel what we see on the Caliphal Protocols. The Caliphal Protocols that Yehuda Nevo has spent so much time studying and writing up about. Those Caliphal Protocols are starting to be written at the time of Muawiyah. Isn't it interesting that we have no Caliphal Protocols from before the time of Muawiyah? He is the one that has the Caliphal Protocols. These are the official documents of the caliphs. They do not have the Bismillah we have today. They do not have the Shahada. They do not talk about Muhammad. They do not talk about Allah. They do not talk about Mecca. They do not talk about anything that should be Islamic until 692. In 692, during the time of Abdul Malik, the Shahada almost is introduced overnight. It's introduced on the Caliphal Protocols overnight, that there is only one God, but God, Muhammad is his prophet. That's the same time that it is introduced on the Dome of the Rock, and that's the same time that it's introduced on the coins. And from that time on, every protocol starts with the Bismillah al-Rahman al-Rahim. Fascinating. So we have now a collation of not only the numismatic evidence, which is the coins, along with the archaeological evidence like the Dome of the Rock, and also the documentary evidence, the Caliphal Protocols. Doesn't this therefore suggest that Islam was not introduced by Muhammad between 610 and 632? It looks like Islam was begun, not created in its final form, but begun by Abdul Malik in the form that we're starting to recognize today.
So I guess I'm just looking from, with the gentle eyes, nothing personal. I'm just looking from a little bit different perspective. Muhammad was very busy with lots of wives and then killing people, being racist, all those kind of things. So he didn't have time to put together his coin. He didn't even have time to put together his Quran anyway. Like, everyone give up on Muhammad. And then we've got those caliphs, and they always been in power, very powerful, like taking people's land, destroying their land, all those kind of things. It is very, very long time until 690s for us to see Shahada start being processed. That's like so long. Like really, really long time, Jay.
That's 70 years.
Yeah, but if you think about it, they were able to conquer that Arabia, Middle East, half of Afghanistan, that part of the world, Iran to Spain to North Africa. Yet they didn't have time to put together proper form of their Shahada. That's like very, very long time. What were they doing? Like taking sex slaves, taking people's land?
Take it one step further. They did put together coins. We've seen the coins.
Yeah, but
coins were being minted.
No, proper form of the Shahada is until like 690s. Like they got rid of all the pictures. Yeah, so that's very long. They got rid of pictures. They weren't even capable to put Surah 112 in its real form. If there was a real form, of course.
What is your conclusion? You know what my conclusion is?
They need Jesus.
Well, that's the final conclusion. But you know what my conclusion is?
That's my beginning conclusion and end conclusion. They need Jesus. One day they will have to bow down to Jesus. That time is coming soon.
From the very beginning, the disciples knew who Jesus was right after his resurrection. You know, from the very beginning,
from his lifetime.
Even before he died, you can see the references in Paul's letters, which are some of the earliest material that we have. We see references to his divinity. Nobody suggests, I should say, not should say nobody, but no good Christian scholar would suggest that who Jesus was, what he did, where he went, how he died, the fact that he rose again was well known and well written, and also sent on from group to group to group. Now, why is it that the most important part of Islam, the statement of faith, the Shahada that you're asking about, why was this not well known? Why was this not written anywhere? Why can't we find any reference? And for heaven's sakes, we should find it on the coins, because that's what coins do. Coins, as you remember, at the very beginning of the show, we said the coins announce who the person in charge is, and they announce their religious affiliation. And they also announce who is the most important thing to them, which would be the Shahada, which would be the statement of faith that every Muslim must say and must know. Why is there no reference for that until 692?
But also, just a side note, for them to put the full Shahada together, they had to get rid of Abdul Malik, make him nobody. They got rid of his picture, they got rid of his statements, and then they put the Shahada. That guy must be very humble.
Well, my conclusion is, and I know it's controversial, is that there was no Islam whatsoever. I'm not even sure that Muhammad would have known about Islam. It looks like Muhammad was nothing more than a raider. Muhammad was much more interested in booty. He may have called himself a prophet, as anybody who is a leader of men would call themselves prophets in that day. I would suggest that the coins are telling us that there was no Islam identity at all after Muhammad's death in 632. It is obvious that if there were 4 rightly guided caliphs, if these men were historical, I'd like to see some reference point. I'd like to see something written about them. All we have today is from Al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Ibn Dawud, Ibn Hisham, Al-Waqidi. They only begin to appear in 833, 870, 875. That's the 9th century. That's way, way too late. These coins are much earlier. These coins are not from the 9th century. Every one of these coins that we've looked at today are from the 7th century. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
We haven't even gone into the 8th century yet. We started with 6. I think we started with 6. Let me just look at the first date. The first coins.
640.
6 pre-660. Okay. So we started with 640 up until 697. So we have looked at that 50-year period, the second part of the 7th century, when the Islam was growing and moving and creating and taking over cities, and they were minting coins. That's what's interesting. This is not an argument from silence. We're not looking at science. We looked at the coins today, and these coins do tell us a story. And the coins are telling us that for the first 40 years, everybody was either a Christian or they were Zoroastrian. All of the images are either Christian images or Zoroastrian. Then after 661, an attempt was made to start to create some type of Arab identity, starting with the Bismillah. That's all you're going to see. And starting with the Bismillah al-Malik, unto Allah, and then in the name of Allah, and then in the name of Allah, the king. But it's not till 692, which is 70 years later, that finally you get a true Muslim identity. You get the Shahada. Proving to me that up until that time, I don't think there were any Muslims. I believe that much of Islam was created by Abdul Malik, and that's because he needed to have that Arab identity, because he, as a ruler who controlled so much land, much of that land had also Jews and Christians under his authority. They had a prophetic line. He did not. They had a scripture. He did not. The Arabs controlled that whole swath of land from Andalusia all the way over to India. They needed a prophetic line, and they needed a scripture. That's why they introduced Muhammad as that prophet, Muhammad as the great prophet. That's why they put it right there and slap it right there on the Dome of the Rock, looking down on the Church of the Sepulchre, which was the seat of Byzantine Christianity religiously. And that's why he introduces it on the protocols. And that's why he introduces it on the coins. Once he has introduced Muhammad as a prophet, then every prophet has to have a book. That's why, have you noticed, Hatun, in all our talks we've had on the Quran only gets really introduced with Abdul Malik, and specifically with his son Al-Walid. But the first Quranic references we find are on the ambulatory of the Dome of the Rock and on these coins, which were created the same time. They are not the Quranic verses we have today. That's yet to be worked out. That's yet to be fleshed out. There's an awful lot of discussion as to what they're going to end up as. And the book, the wording that we have in this book, the Quran today, is not the same wording that we find on these coins. It's not the same wording that we find on the protocols. It's not the same wording that we find on the Dome of the Rock. Exciting stuff, because what we're now proving is that the coins exactly follow what we would expect to follow. They follow the archaeological evidence. They follow the documentary evidence. It looks like what Dan Brubaker is finding with the changes of the text on the Rosam. They still were trying to change the text. They were still trying to standardize the text. That's why he's found over 4,000 corrections. So when was the Quran finally put down in its final form? $1 million question. We can't answer that tonight. What we can say is that Islam as we know today was probably begun by Abdul Malik. That's not the Islam that we have today, but it's the beginning of that Islam. And that Islam introduces Muhammad as the prophet and begins to introduce Quranic script, Quranic verses. That's the revelation that the prophet is finally going to be given credit for. Now, that credit is not introduced until the 9th century. Well, lovely stuff. It all fits to a model. It all fits to one narrative. But to me, this has been the first time that we've really looked at the coins, isn't it, Hatu? This is the first time that we've really looked and seen the sequence on the coins. This is the first time that we've been to realize that the coins do have a story, and the story they're giving us is not the story we've been told. It's not the story Muslims have been telling us. And Muslims watching this, you're going to have to deal with the coins.
I think wherever you stand, whether Islam was born with Abdul Malik, or whether Islam was born with Uthman or with Muhammad, all those different versions of Islam with different shapes and different forms are going to take you to hell. Whichever you follow, Abdul Malik, Muhammad, Uthman, Aisha's version, whatever version you wanna follow or you are following, all of those ones are taking you to hell. And it is only King of Kings, Lord of Lords, as he gave himself for you, he offers you life with himself. That's all matter. And yes, first time we went through those coins, and practically for me, because my eyesight is very bad, my hearing, my one ear doesn't work, so I wasn't able to keep proper eye on the comments. So those of you who had a question on the topic, which I missed it or Jay missed it, so it's always someone else's fault. So one of us missed it. One of the opportunity we can give you, it's like late, I don't know if Jay's got time or not, but one of the things I can propose is drop your questions to me, info@dcciministry.com as an email, and then if Jay is available for us in a couple of weeks, then we can have him back and then just go through the questions and then making sure everyone understood, or bring up your rebuttals. So it's very welcome. All the rebuttals are very welcomed. If you disagree, that's very welcome. Just drop us email, bring up your question, and then we try to take that on. Is that?
Let's do this, Hatun. May I suggest something? Since this is gonna now be up on your site. It's also gonna be up on my site, Fander Films, by tonight. Can we ask, if you have a legitimate question, put it in the comments at the bottom, but start out with question in capital letters. Question in capital letters, and then ask us the question. Because I would like to see if people have legitimate questions.
Okay.
Now, I don't want Muslims to just put up and slag us off or slag what we look like or that. I want legitimate questions. And then what we can do is we can tabulate those questions, And the ones that are good questions that are actually dealing with the topic, we will then have another live stream and unpack them for you.
That won't work on this CI channel. It might work on Funday's channel, because in this CI we try to not keep eye on the comments in the intention that people get very sensitive. We don't delete your comments, it's always there, all those kind of things.
And I read comments on my channel quite a bit. And
okay.
If you have question in capital letters, then I'll know to look at it.
Okay, if you want to get hold on me, I'm nicer than Jay. Just drop me email and then I'll pass those questions to Jay and then we can handle them. But as Jay said, first time we went through them in this order. Therefore, try to watch it again. Take your notes, bring up your rebuttals so we can have healthy debates. Those are important for individuals' eternity.
Now, may I say one more thing? Today is the 8th of January 2020. This is where we stand at this date. Now, this is a working process. This is the first time we've really gone through the coins.
Yeah, it's going to change.
It's going to change as listen, we have an awful lot more to read. I'm going to be working on this. There's going to be, I'm going to be doing an entire video just on this material, all for Fander Films, where I'm actually going to put the coins so you can see them much easier as I'm describing them. I'll probably send a copy to Hatun so she can put it on her site.
Yeah, I've got 69. I've got 69 different coins with the explanation, so that's like another different work.
So we're going to be adding to this. What I also want to do, we're probably going to do the next chapter looking into the 8th century as well, because the coins are so valuable. We're finding now they tell us so much. They have an enormous amount of historical data that will be able, because now we're going into just script from 696 on. Everything is just script. So we're going to be able to look at the coins and compare it with the Quranic script, the Qurans that do start to appear in the Quran, the Sonic manuscript, looking at the Topkapi manuscript, looking at all these major manuscripts. We're looking at 63 different manuscripts right now, our team is, in Fander. So we want to make sure that we look at the coins alongside these manuscripts, because the coins are even more valuable because we know the dates for the coins. We know when they were minted. We know where they were minted. And we also know, therefore, they have not been damaged. Like books can be damaged, like manuscripts can be damaged. So there's an awful lot yet more to do. We have another few chapters to go. But this is the beginning, January 8, 2020, of the coin material. You'll probably hear us come back to again. It's known as numismatics. And we're getting more people who are going to be joining us to actually help us with it. We will also, Al-Fadi and I, in probably the spring, will do a whole series just on the coins. Al-Fadi is sorry that he could not be here today. When we do that, we'll bring Hatun on board, and the three of us will actually probably unpack the new series that we're going to be introducing this spring.
In summary, keep out on historical materials if that's your area of interest. But doesn't matter, history or tradition of Islam gets destroyed, and it is only Jesus who can offer them alternative. Thank you very much for being available for me, Jay. I really appreciate. I don't know how long you planned in your mind, but apparently it's been 1 hour 53 minutes 39 seconds.
Well, listen, when we get into this kind of material, this is the kind of material that I will spend my whole life on. I've said this many years. You know me for the 8 years you've known me. I've always said it is the historical material that I want to really spend most of my energies on. And what's interesting, it is this same questions that have been asked of Christianity. It are these same criticisms that have been asked of our Bible and our Lord Jesus Christ. And in every case, we've been able to answer every one of the criticisms against Jesus, against his historicity, against the Bible, against its authority. And in every case, because of the fact that we've been able to do this with the Bible, we can therefore have the right and also have the expertise in the background to ask the same questions of the Quran and of Islam and of Muhammad. Using the coins for this one has been great because it's so visual. Did I not say at the very beginning of the show, almost everything we're going to show you, you don't have to know a word of Arabic. All you need to do is look and see. You can see how the coins change. You can look and see when the crosses are there, when they're not there, when the images are there, when they're not there, who the images are. And even the text, the script around it, we translated it for you. That would have been great if Al-Fadi had been here to be able to do it with more authority. But God bless you. As Hatun has said, everything they do, the reason we do it is because we want to bring you home. We want to bring you home to Jesus Christ. It is Jesus who is the only one that answers. It is Jesus that has been criticized, has been critiqued. And in every case, Jesus has been able to respond to every criticism, every attack, every controversy. Jesus comes out on top. Hatun believes it. I believe it. Many of you who are watching believe it. But the Muslims who are still there, I know you don't believe it yet. We would love to have you on board. We would love to have you come back to a much bigger book, a much better book, a book that we have here that fits every category, unlike this one here. This book, it brings you back to Jesus Christ, and we want to introduce him to you. God bless you. It's been a great evening. It's now getting towards 5:30 in the evening. We started at 3:30, so we've gone for almost 2 hours. It's been fun. It seems like it's only been 15 minutes. We'll come back again for stage number 2 to then carry on this story.
Thank you very much, Jay. And thank you very much, those of you who joined us in chat, and thank you very much to admin. We've got the scheduled live stream tomorrow on the numbers and lies to just pick up something we discussed previously. We will see you in that live stream, or we will see you at Speaker's Corner, or we will see you in heaven, wherever it is. God bless you all.